you ready?
Yeah.
Yes!
This is the Ross Kaminsky Show.
You're a great American.
He's a great guy.
Now, Ross Kaminsky on Denver's talk station, 630 KHOW.
One thing I've realized in my relatively short career in radio, especially short compared to the guy I'm talking to right now, is that you're interviewing someone who's done a lot of radio when they go to get headphones on going into a conversation, even though they don't need them because they're sitting next to me, and you feel naked without them. Isn't it weird?
True, yeah.
Willie B and I are sitting here in the K-House studio, and like if you weren't wearing headphones, even though you're literally 6 feet from me, part of your brain would be thinking, how am I going to hear him?
Right. It's true. You just need that portion of it. You're like, oh, where's my headphones? No, you're right. Most people would just be like, just talk.
Oh, my gosh. That's so funny. You had this panicked look in your eyes when there weren't headphones ready for you just before we went on the air. All right, so you all know Willie B. I hope you do. Morning host on KBPI. And does so much with cars as well. You see him at Bandamere all the time and on TV with all kinds of stuff. And for my purposes, most importantly, he's just an incredible dude and the most charitable person I know and just a wonderful guy and has gone through some stuff lately. And so we're gonna talk about a bunch of things.
Sure.
So first of all, Willie, for those who don't know, tell us what just happened.
About a week and a half ago on Sunday, not this last Sunday, but one prior, I was in bed. It just so happened me and my friends had put in a hard day for a program I do called Cars to Christmas. We worked on 4 or 5 cars that were really difficult challenges, big jobs. And for the most part, we had them all knocked out. I was pretty tired. Well, during that day of wrenching and working on these cars that I turn around and give the needy families, a stray dog had wandered onto my property. And this black female dog was kind of like a lab mix. She was just, super friendly, super nice. I walked her off the property and shut the gate 3 or 4 times, and she would find different ways in, would hop through the gate and knock off a little log and climb back in and just wanted to be with us that day. And I was like, well, this is really random and odd. So that evening, I told the wife, we put down the kids. I have a 19-month-old kid, daughter named Utana, and a 4-month-old baby boy named Ryder. They have changed my world, man. It's been incredible. So we put the kids down, and my wife had put the dog. She took a picture of it and posted on a social media site and on Facebook. And we have a little neighborhood chat thing we're a part of, saying, "Hey, does anybody know whose dog this is or whatever?" Well, the dog plays an important role because about 8:30, I'm gonna lay down and try to get to bed early because it was a Sunday. So I go out, and the dog, my wife had shut the door. So I opened the door and said, well, this way, maybe if the dog wants out, he gets lonely or knows his way back home or decides he wants to go back home, she can find her way out and go back home. And then when I went out to the garage to check on the dog about 8:30, I did smell like a smell of like wood burning, like a fireplace. But that's what I thought it was. I thought the neighbor had just fired up their wood-burning fireplace, and that's, even though it was a little more pungent than what I recall, that's what I smelled. And I didn't think anything of it. I left the door open so the dog could get out if she wanted to, and then went to bed. And then about 10:30, I'm a really light sleeper. I hear the fan go off in my room. I got a little fan that sits on a dresser and just has a real low resonance hum to it. Well, it shut off. And, over a period of a minute or so, I kind of awoke from my slumber because I didn't get that low resonance hum,
Yeah.
It didn't register in my mind like something's wrong. So I popped up and I noticed that the clock radio didn't have any power. And I was like, well, what in the hell? Why isn't there power? And then I saw a flash out. I have a back door to the back porch in my bedroom. I saw a flash from the outside the drapes on that door. And I was like, what was that? And I get up and I move the blackout drape so I could see what the flash was. And it revealed an enormous fire crawling up the wall outside my garage, which is attached to the house. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, because it was significant. It was a big flame. It was on the exterior and the interior. Like it would burned, all the way up the wall and left a big cut, a big, slice out of the wall. And I'm like, oh my God, no smoke alarms had gone off. Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was, for me, I was like, oh my God. So I got up, I woke, Monica up, my wife. I said, honey, get the kids. I yelled at her parents. Her parents sold their house, so they've been staying in my basement while they're looking for a home. So I yelled for them to get up. There was a fire. I tried to go out and get my fire extinguishers, but they were in the garage. I kept my fire extinguishers right by the door going from the hallway into the garage door. They were down, 2 or 3 steps. But the moment I opened the door, it was like kind of like a backdraft scene. It was just a big wall of fire.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God. So realizing I didn't have any power, but I did have pressure. I'm on a well. So the pump had kept pressure in the house and in the water tank downstairs. So I hooked the hose up, turned on the water, and was fighting the fire as best I could with the water hose, but you only have a certain number of time. By then, everybody was out. They called 911. So the fire truck, I live, probably 2 miles from a fire station. So I was like, they're going to get here quick.
Mm-hmm.
So all I got to do is do my best to, hold it back as much as I can. And the fire truck got to my house and started unrolling fire hoses. Literally when my pressure went from, about 8 feet, the water shooting out of my hose to about 4 feet, and I didn't have anything left in it. They were there. But by the time that they unrolled the hoses and got water pumping, which, don't take it wrong, it was fairly fast.
Yeah.
The fire was so aggressive. When I hear people talk about how aggressive and how fast it moves, now I have a different appreciation of the sincerity of that, because it literally consumed everything in my garage in a matter of 2 minutes. The exterior wall, the bathroom, the maintenance room, and the only thing, I have a fire wall going upstairs. The wall going upstairs in the garage and going upstairs in my house are the same wall, right? So where the kids are at, had that not occurred, within 2 minutes, that wall would have been breached. The fire jumped up into trusses in the attic and caused a lot of real bad smoke damage to the upper level of the house. Then the smoke detector upstairs went off. It was like living, just kind of spelling out a nightmare. I've got 2 young kids and, all the animals, and watching everything you really worked for, and tried your best to, make safe and, what you call home, just get tore up from flames. It's a terrifying moment. I don't wish that on my worst enemies. I don't really have any enemies, but I wouldn't wish that on them, because it really is terrifying. It changes your mindset of how wicked a fire can devastate, your dwelling. I mean,
Wow.
in a matter of a minute, 2 minutes, it can just consume entire chunks of your house. It's nuts.
And folks, actually, if you want to watch us, we're on Facebook Live right now, facebook.com/630KOut. In case you don't know what Willie looks like, you can see him. So, and you lost that awesome Cadillac, right?
Yeah. I love the guys from the Elway dealerships, and Todd and Jeff, who support you. I became really good friends with them. I bought my car from the Elway group just because they really are fantastic. I truly adore them. They've helped me out with cars for Christmas. So I bought a really cool low mileage. I've always wanted one. I've never owned a new car, but this is the newest thing that I owned. It was 8 years old, and I just paid it off. Like, I just got title. I was so proud of it. I'm like, yeah, I got the title. Like, I restore hot rods, so I'm big into cars. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But that was the newest thing I owned, and it was devastated. I had a real rare Camaro in the other part of the garage. It was totaled. And, most people in their garage, in their home, in the areas that they would consider a mud room, or moving into the direction of their garage, where the washer and dryer and maintenance rooms are and so forth, they keep things that are passionate to their their livelihood, things that you like to do, sports or bikes if you mountain bike. And for me, it was all my motocross gear, my knee braces, all my snowboard gear, my snowboards. Some of the more memorable stuff, my papa had a train set that when I was a kid, he had a big train set with buildings and a little hill the train would go up and come down. And after he passed, I got that train set. And I had it in 2 old leather suitcases, like the hardbound book type, covered in leather. I had 2 suitcases that were destroyed and all that stuff kind of melted and burned up. So a couple things like that I really missed. The photo albums of cars I restored. I lost, 13 or 14 photo albums of those cars. 1 photo album survived. Things like that, I'll definitely miss and cherish. But I'll tell you, everything that needed to be saved, it needed to be okay was okay. So in the end, that's what I'm most thankful about. And the rest can be rebuilt or remembered.
You mentioned Elway, and I was talking with Todd just after all this stuff happened to you here, and we were talking about how to try to help you out. And we're going to talk about Cars for Christmas in a minute, but I've said on the air a bunch of times when you weren't listening that you are the most charitable giving person I've ever met, and so I know that your station and iHeart set up a GoFundMe for you, which was really, really cool.
I was surprised by that. And dude, it's going to make a huge difference and impact. And I'm thankful.
So I had mentioned it to my listeners, and I kind of worked with Elway and said, if I get my listeners to donate, will you guys, match so we can really kind of boost it up? And Elway said, yeah, of course. And last I checked, my listeners had given like $1,800 or something. But I want you to actually lift up that computer keyboard right there that's in front of you. That is just a little thing from me. I told my listeners I was going to do this to try to kickstart this whole thing with them. But that's for people watching. I'm not doing this as nothing. I don't want anyone to think I'm doing this to pat myself on the back. I just promised that I was going to do this along with my listeners. So that's $1,000 to help from me. It's not from K-How. It's not from it's just from me to help Willie and his family rebuild some of this stuff. And as you know, because Elway's already been in touch with you, they matched that as well. And so I just want you to know I'm just so grateful for everything you do, for our community and just also for your friendship. And I'm really happy to, I wish you weren't going through this.
Well, thank you, man. It humbles my heart you did that. So, it's going through that and seeing the just the outpouring of things like this. That it's a big blessing. I'm more thankful than you know, and I've always tried to take where I'm at in life and try to do some good with it. Several years ago in 2000, it was 2004. I had this incident where I passed away under a car. And I'm not a super religious guy. The last thought I had before that occurred was, man, why didn't you have any kids? So ever since then, I've kind of decided to just try to shape things in a way that, would have a bigger impact in other people's lives. Mm-hmm. And so I took what I felt like I was good at and what I could do in the world of cars, because that seems to be a big passion of mine. And I gave away 1 car 1 year, and I saw the difference that it made in one particular person's life. And the next year I was like, oh my God, I'll give away 2. Mm-hmm. And in the second year I gave away 2 and saw what a difference it made in people's lives. And the third year I did 3, and fourth year I did 4.
How many years ago? When did you start?
Oh, probably 15. Well, I started then. I started in 2005.
Okay.
So yeah, about 15 years. Yeah. And really it grew, it grew when I got some help from a couple dealerships, but nothing like what it did when, Todd and Jeff from the Elway group decided to plug in what they can do with their dealerships into Cars for Christmas. And that's just one of the ways that I changed, I want to say, just how I approach life. And I figured if my passion is cars, then I could take some old beater cars and fix them up and give them to families that needed them, that mobility was a massive challenge for them, that it wasn't that difficult for me to do or for me to pull off. Because if I can buy a car for a few $100, sticking a couple $100 in parts in it isn't going to kill me. And in the end, what it does for the family that receives the car is, it's massive.
It's life-changing.
It's huge, yeah.
Yeah, it's life-changing.
So, over the last, 15 years, I've probably given away, I gave away probably 500 cars, 600 cars.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about. Well, not that many, actually. Probably 400, But it's been a lot, man. A couple years in a row, I give away 75 and 70 and, 40 and 50 and things like that. So it's been a blessing. And those people gave back, and, your listeners gave back. And it was $10 and $20 and $30 nominations. And, and big stuff like this from you and those guys just it blows me away.
Yeah. And we had listeners, anything from, $10 that they could afford to a few $100 that they could afford.
Yeah.
It's great. And, I guess in a way it's karma in the good use of it. You've earned the world appreciating you. Tell us, actually, two things. And Shannon, I'll probably be a little late on this break here because I don't talk to Willie here for another couple of minutes. Is your birthday around now?
Yeah, my birthday is tomorrow. I'm spending it working on cars at Christmas. I'm at the age where birthdays, you don't want them. But yeah, I'll be working on, cars for Christmas. We do. So I'm not staying at my house. I'm staying in a hotel right now.
Yeah. Tell us about that a little bit. And the restrictions and stuff.
Yeah. So we just found out yesterday. Right now, me and my wife and our kids are in one room, and our parents are in another. And so right now, we'll get dinner, say, for example, at night. Like last night, we just went to this little pho restaurant up the road. We grabbed dinner, and there's a common area where people have breakfast, where they give the continental breakfast in the morning, that hotels provide nowadays. So we're sitting over there, and the lady from the hotel comes up and says, okay, I hate to inform you, but as of tomorrow, you won't be able to congregate and have dinner in this little eating area because of the new restrictions. So, and I'm like, wait, we don't have a table in the hotel room. It's just, there's a little micro desk with one little chair. But aside from that, there's, we're eating on the floor.
Yeah.
So, so they're going to get us, they told us they would provide us with a card table today. Wow. And we just, yeah, it sucks. So that's some of the things that restrictions are doing for me in my direct life right now. So now we're gonna have to, I guess, do the dinner in the in the hotel room, just on the bed. Pull up a little stool or a bucket or something and just eat right.
You got anything going like to get you temporarily into a house?
Yeah, I'm trying to work with insurance to find a house right now. So that's been dragging its feet a little bit. But I am, I'm still working and trying to get the cars finished and completed, because I still, even with COVID and the pandemic, I still want to give away 30 to 40 cars this year.
Mm-hmm. So how does that work?
I'm up for buying cars. I need some more cars. So if you have a little beater or something that, may need brakes, batteries, wipers, I can't take, it's too time restrictive to take big jobs. So if they need transmissions or something, I'll have to farm them out somewhere else, and it's just a little difficult because I'm just one guy trying to move a lot of cars around. However, if you do have an old beater car, or, I'll hit up Todd and Jeff today and be like, hey, you got any more? You go trade your used cars in. Now is a good time. Black Friday deals and so forth. I'm sure the Elway Group will take great care of you. They always do.
Yeah.
If you got a trade in. But yeah, I'm looking for cars to buy. Some of this money that I was, so graciously given. I haven't been able to do any fundraising this year for Cars for Christmas because COVID and the pandemic. So a lot of the extra money that I'm getting is like in years past, before I got my 501(c), I would just make it out of my own pocket. So that's mainly this year is just out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
But I really want to give away like 30, 35 cars if possible. So I'm striving for that. So if you have an old car, I'll take it. You can go to WillieBFoundation.org. That's my 501(c). You can read about it. You could
Willie B Foundation.
Yeah, WillieBFoundation.org.
And then this last thing. I mean, I could talk to you all day, but my program director will get mad if I miss too many breaks.
Yeah.
What can and should people do if they know of someone, including possibly themselves, who desperately need a car and would like to put their name, nominate themselves or someone else?
Yeah, they could do that at the WillieBFoundation.org page. There's a donation to submit your story or nominate a person. And they go right there. It'll funnel down to basically my emails. Late November, early December, I'll start the vetting process and filtering process. These cars are going to be given away like the week prior to Christmas. So I won't even reach out. You can nominate somebody now. Right now, my main focus and time is A, finding a place for us to live for my family. B, is just getting more cars and getting the cars completed. Because, like I said, I'm one guy and I have a handful of friends that are helping me. Like there'll be 4 or 5 guys out there tonight. We'll try to tackle 2 or 3 cars. And we'll do the same thing on Saturday and Sunday, trying to kick out as many of these cars as can. Sometimes it's a big job.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a long process to get one right, but we're trying to get, 30 to 40 cars out for needy families. So if you're aware of somebody that needs a car, WillieBFoundation.org. That's where you could nominate them, submit your story, and it's all the details on what we do.
Yeah,
there as well. There's Cars for Christmas.
All right, and Shannon just added the link to our Facebook Live right now. So if you're watching us on Facebook, you can go to Willie's link. Dude, I am so sorry what you're going through. You're handling it better than I would, I think. I think we both want to say thanks a lot to the Elway dealers.
Oh, 100%. And to your listeners and to you. And I would never ask for help.
I know you wouldn't.
I
know you wouldn't.
It's sure appreciated.
Yeah. I'm grateful for your friendship and for everything you do for everybody who knows you and and people who don't know you. Thanks so much for being here, Willie. Appreciate it. Let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Bud.
This is Denver's Talk Station with Ross Kaminsky in the morning and Dan Kaplis in the afternoon. 630 KHOW, Denver.